Good morning and welcome. Looks like it didn't turn the little light on. Hang on a second. You know I'm going to push a button and something's going to go kerflooey. Well, we'll just leave it. We'll have ambiance today. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day. On this fine Wednesday, I guess we're supposed to get some rain in the Midwest. We'll see what happens with everyone else. Good morning, Barb. You're the first one popping on today. Glad to have you here. And we'll give it a minute while everyone else kind of checks in. I got to get some things out of my way here. This desk should have a tilt on it and just kind of throw everything off, and then I have to pick it up and put it back on where it ought to be. Wouldn't that be good? I'm sure someone could rig that for me, right? Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. Glad you are here. Happy Wednesday. It feels like an odd day. It doesn't feel like it's a Wednesday. I don't know. It feels kind of like a Saturday. Not sure why, but whatever. Here we are. Hello, Barb. Welcome, welcome. So everybody's starting to roll in. This is good. You had rain most of the night. Okay, yep, we haven't had anything yet. Good morning, Mel. Welcome. But it is due. It is due. Yeah. So I have a cousin, Lynn, who's turning 70 today. So congratulations to her. 70. Wow. Wow. Pretty soon that'll be middle-aged. Pretty soon. So we actually have another card from the Wild Offering deck. And this one is heading us in a new direction. We have a new focal point. So I think that's interesting, and I think it makes sense given some of the things that I've been reading in the other resources that I'm currently diving into. So we'll get to that in a moment. But as always, let's start with some tapping and some breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Relaxing your shoulders down, wiggling your neck, getting some of the kinks out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning, Ruth Ann. Welcome, welcome. In through the nose, out through the mouth. As I was setting this up and waiting for the Facebook thing to do its countdown, there were quite a few thoughts that popped into my head. So we'll see how many of them resurface as I'm talking. Because you know that fleeting thing, they kind of whip on through like clouds on the wind, and then you're like, now what was that I was going to say to them? But the first thing was that our card for today is a little bit of a different card. And the value of that, I think, is putting some words to two things pop into my mind. There's probably many more, but two pop into my mind at this point. One is how society treats this, and because we're the fish swimming in this water, we unwittingly soak a lot of it up without even being aware of it. But you can hear it in our comments. You can see it in our behaviors. Yeah. The other part of it is, I think, a much broader perspective. And I'm thinking it might be helpful to some of you if I put it into words based on how I feel about it and have felt about it and have had trouble articulating about it. And if some of you, if even one of you goes, yeah, that's it, I will have done my job today. I will have done my job. So, card deck again, Wild Offering by Tosha Silver. Again, we get these runs with a particular card deck where we have the opportunity to string together a series that has more meaning than each of the individual cards. Each of the individual cards is certainly powerful, but when you string them together into almost like a story, it can take on a whole lot of powerful meaning. So our card for today is Body. Yep, B-O-D-Y, Body. So let's take a breath. Let it go. And I want you to think about what was your first reaction to hearing that that was today's word. Oh, goody, we get to talk about our bodies. Or, oh shit, here we go. Whatever it was, let's hear what Tosha's words are about it. And then I've got a couple things to say about that. Body. Show me, divine, how to love and fully care for this body. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. So, one of the aspects I want to talk about is how body acceptance has not been promoted, particularly for women in our culture. Particularly for women in our culture. We make comments about aspects of people's bodies. We teach girls in particular to carve their bodies up into pieces. Well, I love my eyes, but I hate my thighs. We don't do a holistic view of our human body. And when we do a holistic view of our human body, we often have much more appreciation for it. Think about how intricately the pieces are put together. Think about how this, yes, send love to your back, most definitely. Think about the work that a back does. Think about how we oftentimes don't bend down well, appropriately, because our knees hurt, right? So then we bend at the waist, putting more strain on the back. We carry stuff that is probably way too heavy for us. We turn without paying attention to what's our posture like. We do many, many, many things that put this back that does such amazing things at risk. At risk. So, in fact, I'm probably calling the chiropractor today because it's been a month since I've been in and it's time for a tune-up. We focus on the parts of our body that hurt. We focus on the parts of our body that don't do what they used to do. We focus on the parts of our body that we feel have let us down in some way or are showing aging more, blah, 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 blah. Instead of embracing this as a whole. And think about it, when you look in a mirror, those of you who are willing to look in a mirror, because how many of us have been taught to avoid looking in a mirror, do you look at the whole package? Or do you start paying attention to, oh my God, I'm getting such a chin? A whole. Look at yourself as a whole. Move something and pay attention to it. Isn't it cool the way that wrist makes my hand have so much more flexibility? Little kids get enamored with their bodies, right? They start playing with their fingers, they play with their toes. They're very interested in their own bodies and how it moves and how it works, right? You pick them up and they want to poke at your eyes because, man, those are interesting, right? What if we recovered some of that childlike interest in our bodies and how they work? Wouldn't that be amazing? I think another piece, the second piece, that I see as to why we struggle with our bodies is because on some hidden, very subconscious level, we remember what it was like to be disembodied, to be that free spirit of soul, not yet embodied in a body, and the freedom that had. Then we agree to come to earth and we incarnate in a body, and that body has a denseness to it. When we look at someone's body, we see it as a solid object. We don't see all the spaces in between the cells, right? Good morning, Carolyn. Glad you're here. Welcome. We see it as a solid thing. And I think, again, for some of us, on some level, we remember that freedom of being disembodied. And it's hard to incarnate into something that moves the way physical bodies move, right? Compared to when they were disembodied. Also compared to when they were much younger. I remember my friend Nancy lamenting, "I used to be able to run like the wind," she'd say often. And this was at a point where her body wasn't able to do that anymore. I used to be able to run like the wind. And that sense of loss. So remember I was sharing with you that on Common Ground Conversations we had talked about grief. Same thing with this Common Ground conversation that's going to be coming up. We had so much response to the one that we did talking about grief that we decided we're talking again about aging and what focus might serve us better when we're talking about aging than the focus that we've had, the medicalization of aging, as opposed to viewing it as a normal part of the flow and popping a pill for every aspect of that normal flow and not allowing oh, there's the rain. There's the rain. I can hear it hitting the air conditioner. So, welcome to the rains. Welcome to the thunder, people. We'll see what we get. Bodies. Back to bodies. Ooh, big thunder. That's not going to make my sister's dog happy. Well, hopefully there's enough fans and stuff running in the house that she doesn't hear it. Back to our bodies. Anything that we can do, and oftentimes I think the weight that we carry, the extra weight that we carry, is an attempt to do something positive. It may be an attempt to ground us. It may be an attempt to feel big enough to be safe in this world. All kinds of reasons why subconsciously we carry extra weight. Doing our healing work, being willing to approach all of these things we've talked about, being in flow, addressing the hard issues, being willing to move through pain and discomfort, and really take a solid look at what part of this, what wound is this poking for me, and how is this an opportunity to heal? So interesting, all these things that came flying out of my mouth, because when I read the card, I initially hit kind of that, I don't have anything to say about this. Me, right? Yeah, I don't have anything to say about this. I have lots to say about this. But again, that societal training that we get makes us less likely to tap into what we have to say about this and actually say it. So there's my shtick on this. We could talk for hours on this. Wouldn't that be lovely? Sit down over an iced tea in a beautiful place and just have a conversation about bodies. Yes, beautiful. That is awesome. Not running around like a maniac. Yes. So when we sit quietly with ourselves, we do get to know ourselves better. And I think when we pay attention to the energy of someone, there's something very attractive about that person who has that quiet energy of, I've been through a lot. I've been willing to face a lot. I've done my work. You know, one group of people who comes to mind with that is those who have participated in a 12-step program for a long period of time. They just have an energy about them that is very settling and grounding. They've gone to hell and back, and they're very grounded in who they are. And there's something very appealing about being around that energy. Same with people who are older. They've done the walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And not everybody. I mean, you can have superficiality at all levels, right? But you can also have greater depth as you've gone through this earth walk. And sometimes with young people, you feel that sense of depth. And it may be past life stuff. It may be that they've already had some pretty major experiences in their lives. But when you find that energy, be appreciative of it. Be appreciative of it. Let's learn to foster that energy, that deep sense of knowing, that sense of having gone through heavy things and survived and thrived and navigated the lessons that were in those heavy things. Here we are, exactly as we are. Show me, divine, how to love and fully care for this body. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. So, on that note, I will let you go. With the boomers, we may end up not having electricity for a bit. We'll see. Enjoy your day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including valuing this amazing vessel that we walk the earth in. Bye-bye.